On today's episode of That Was Us, we'll be discussing Season 2, Episode 6, The 20's. Jack and Rebecca find themselves struggling after taking 10-year-olds trick-or-treating. Meanwhile, Randall, Kevin, and Kate experience a life-changing Halloween. Hello, gang.
Hello.
How are we doing today?
Happy Halloween.
Welcome back to the That Was Us podcast. Don't forget to rate, subscribe, like, give us all 5-star ratings. Tell all your friends, support our sponsors so we can keep doing this podcast.
So we can keep it moving forward. We're talking about the 20's, and it took me a second to realize, like, at first I was like, why is this episode called the 20's? I was
Not
like,
the 1920s.
Are we going back to the roaring? Something. But it's sort of talking about the big three when they are in their 20's.
Yes.
Formative years.
But before we get to the 20's, we're going to go back to the past, and it's Hallows Eve.
Yes.
Kids are all getting ready to go trick-or-treating. We see Randall coming up with a detailed map of how they should sort of chart out the houses that they go to so they can maximize their candy before going to the haunted house.
All of their personalities are coming out in full force
Kev is
through
like,
the art of costume.
Yes.
Right. Kev's like, this is dumb, right? Oh, Kev's got the cigar.
He
Who's
is
he
a
playing?
cigar-smoking bum for like the third year in a row.
Yeah.
Which is a weird foreshadowing.
Rebecca is sewing Halloween costumes.
Right?
Yeah.
Kate switches it up. She now wants to be Sandy from Grease.
That's right. She didn't want to be a vet anymore.
Yeah.
And it turns out that there's a story there. There's also sort of like Kev says to Randall, we don't have to make a map, bro. Like, we know the neighborhood. We're not going to get lost. He's like, I'm just trying to maximize our candy so we can know all this stuff, right? I always shout out to Milo Ventimiglia and
For the moonwalk?
charm.
Oh.
The absolute, yes.
Yeah, the moonwalk at the end of the
The
scene. I was
This
like,
whole
okay.
episode's going to be about Milo Ventimiglia moonwalking, probably in boots.
I truly enjoy seeing Goofy Jack entertain his kids.
Yes.
Because he leans into it with such zest and zeal. And it's just like, I forgot, Milo is capable of true goofiness.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's a delight.
Yes.
It is delightful.
It is a true delight,
Yeah.
the moonwalk and everything else. So ultimately what winds up happening is that Randall wants to do one thing one way. The other kids want to do something else. They wind up taking a vote. They get outnumbered. But Rebecca had already promised Randall that they could follow the map. Yeah. Right?
And before they head out, they have a marital conversation about the way that Rebecca treats Kate.
How Rebecca treats Randall and how Jack treats Kate.
Yeah.
Right?
And how
They both get called out.
They're both calling
respectively.
each other out
Yes.
about essentially coddling in their different ways.
Yes.
And catering to that child.
Yeah.
Leaving Kevin, the cigar-smoking, lonely bum.
Outlier.
Which I also say like is very important in
Yep.
terms of Kev's development.
Yep.
Even hearkening back to season 1 in the pool, and it's like, is anybody see I'm drowning here?
Yeah.
I am drowning.
Is anyone watching me?
That's Kevin's core wound.
Yeah.
I'm drowning over here.
Yeah.
I am in pain.
Yeah.
Does
No one's
anybody
watching?
notice?
Does anyone hear me?
Nobody notices.
So okay, we're tracking that forward. So they go out. Rebecca goes with Randall. Jack goes with the other two. We find out that Kate has a crush on this guy.
Billy, maybe?
But she has a crush on this guy, and she wants to go to the haunted house quickly because maybe if they get scared,
He'll hold her hand. Yeah.
So Kev winds up giving this information to Jack, and he goes, is it not going to happen? He's like, he's almost as popular as me, Dad. Like, it's not going to happen. Can I just go get some candy?
Yeah.
Like, let me just do my thing.
Yeah.
You guys can worry about all this other crap,
Yeah.
right? And he's like, okay. So anyway, we get to the haunted house. We see there is a scare. We see my man grab her hand. And it's pure joy from young Kate.
Yes.
He grabbed my hand. I got to go tell so-and-so. And Jack is all happy. Turn to see Kev emptying his bag of candy into old boy's bag, right?
That's right.
Jack comes over and says, dude, did you just give him candy so he would hold your sister's hand? He's like, I can always get more candy, Dad. Just the simplest way. I was like, now can I keep it moving?
Yeah.
He's like, this was an easy thing to do for my
Easy
sister.
transaction.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nobody has to know about it.
Yep.
I just need to go get some more candy.
Yep.
Like he's like the self-sufficient, he's the dude who's like, I'll take care of myself
That's
because
right.
everybody else seems to have other things to do, right?
Yeah.
Right? Let's go back in time a little bit to Rebecca. Rebecca offers the idea of like, you know what, instead of going to the map, let's go to this other house real quick.
It's right here.
Line is real short. We pop in, pop out, and you see my man almost sort of like short circuit.
Yeah.
Right? And she talks about the ability to improv and how you don't have to stay so rigid. Because I think Jack called him rigid earlier, and she says he's anxious. I think you differentiated in that specific way. But now as you're seeing it, it's like, hey, man, we can take steps out of our comfort zone too, so it's not always this way.
Has to be on the plan.
Luckily, you had that lovely little conversation with him on the steps, and I don't know when it happened, but they got him out of that Michael Jackson wig.
They did
before the conversation, and I was like, oh, that's so good that they did that, so that you weren't sitting there talking to a little Michael Jackson about being too rigid.
Yeah.
So they finish off at that house. And what is that happens? Like you could tell like something's not
They
quite...
reveal to Randall essentially.
He asks
they're
question.
the first adults to talk to him about the fact that he's adopted.
Correct. Yes. It's not even the adoption, it is the fact that there was a third child.
Yes.
I think for him, it was always just the twins.
Well, it's both, right?
Is it both?
Yeah, because you guys haven't really, you say to him later, this is not something we were keeping from you. We were just going to talk to you about it later.
Yeah, but I think it is more specifically, I mean, he obviously knows that he's adopted.
Right.
But,
Obviously.
But I think it's more specifically that there was another
Got it.
child.
Okay.
He
Kyle,
said,
we lost him.
did you and Dad lose the baby and just couldn't find it? And you said, we didn't lose him. He didn't live. And you are the way it always was supposed to be, is something that you say. And then he asked what his name was, Kyle. And then you tell him Kyle. He said, Kyle probably looked like you and Daddy, and them, nobody looks like me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so it also sort of makes me wonder too, because I wasn't clear on this, whether or not he heard that from them that night, or it's something he'd heard from that family before, and that's why he didn't want to go to that house.
Oh,
That's how
interesting.
I took it.
That's how you took it.
Yes.
That's also kind of how I took it. So it wasn't just him being,
Yeah.
he's like, I don't want to go back
Part
to
of
this
his
house.
plan is not just where he wants to go; it's
It
where
was
he
what
doesn't want
exactly
to go.
what he was avoiding.
Yeah. Because even when like he goes to the pool in the past, he's like, I picked this pool because I know Black people are here.
Yes.
And he's like, I don't have to tell everybody all the parts of the plan. I just know that the plan is for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's how I always took it. I was like, there's
interesting.
more to Randall. Like, yes, maybe he is a little rigid. Maybe he is a little anxious and stuff. But like, he has a
reason.
A reason. He has an understanding that like maybe mom and dad don't necessarily see, but we see as the audience.
Yeah.
That's how I've always sort of perceived it.
Okay. So we're on the same boat then, because it wasn't just that night then.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we can go. This
Essentially sets the tone for who these children will be in their 20s.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, Jack so much as says to Rebecca before the kids go out trick-or-treating, or Rebecca does, like, you're not preparing her for life. Like, if you're constantly sort of giving in to her, she's going to take that pattern with her, like, for the rest of her life.
Yeah.
And the mirroring of it, Kate ends up investing in a guy who is not truly available or interested in her. Kevin ends up being a cigar smoking bum, pulling a real dirtbag move
on his own friend.
Okay.
Yeah, let's get into who these folks were in their 20s.
And the rigidness of Randall's personality has led him to what we've heard about before.
We heard about it in episode 102.
And now we find ourselves a couple of months after
removed from a breakdown.
His big breakdown where he went blind.
Okay. Let's do
Let's go to Kate.
Let's do Kate first. So Kate is waitressing. She's doing night school.
And she's banging. I mean, she has bangs.
She has
the bangs were an interesting
blunt bangs.
Banging with bangs.
When we have Chrissy on the show, we should ask her about that.
Yeah.
Banging with bangs.
Coming with hard fringe.
She's
I think someone would say.
I think someone would say that.
Yeah.
She's got a sort of regular customer that comes in and whatnot. And
there's a flirtation.
There's a flirtation that transpires between the two of them. She's trying to figure out what he's doing for his night. He's like, I'm going to go to this bar, hang out, da-da-da. And so she had something else that she was going to do.
She's in college. She's
in college.
School.
Had to go to night school. Classes got canceled or something.
Yeah.
So she winds up going to his bar. And he sees her. They see each other, make eyes, whatnot. His friends are with him, etc. And she's like, yeah, I was wondering if you want to buy me a drink or whatnot. And she's like, you know what? why don't we get out of here? And she's like, oh, okay.
I know what that means.
Okay. So they get out of there and they go to her place.
Banging with bangs.
And they, post-coital, we see with,
That's a nice way to say it. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. They had a good time with each other, doing what adults do. And she sort of...
You don't want to say banging with bangs?
You just said it. You just said it.
You don't want to say it?
I have to repeat it.
Okay.
Banging with bangs.
Mandy, do you want to?
Banging with bangs.
Oh, Mandy. All right, clip
Hot
that.
take.
Clip that. Clip that.
And so a sister is not stupid. She understands what's going on. Like, as soon as you saw other people see me, you knew to get me out of there because you're married, right? And he's like, yeah. And she's like, if you knew, then why'd you do it? And she's just like, I'm just kind of tired of waiting for stuff, and I know it wasn't necessarily the best thing to do or whatnot, but like, I feel like I've spent so much time waiting for my life to take place that I just wanted to do, right?
It's the perfect mirror of what we saw earlier about a young girl who maybe puts too much, I don't know, of herself in someone else's hands.
Sure.
Yeah.
And too much stock maybe in like men, in a romantic relationship. Yeah. Her father.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A romantic partner.
That kind of validation.
Her brother.
Yeah. Getting self-worth externally.
Right.
Yes.
From someone else.
Yes.
Okay, Kev. Wait, is that where we end, Kate's? Is it just sort of end
Pretty
with
much.
her? Okay.
Yeah, she gets the news about baby Tess being born later in the
Right.
episode.
Everybody gets the news. Okay, so Kev
Cut to Kevin washing hair.
is a shampoo artist? Is this
he's
a
a
thing?
shampoo artist.
Is there just a shampoo person in a salon?
Yeah, he's probably someone's assistant.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so he's shampooing. He's at the shampoo bowl, regaling a customer
with all the trials and tribulations
of being a quote unquote working actor, trying to be a working actor.
This lady has to tell him to shut up.
Kevin.
Just shut up.
He's like, is that too hard? He's like, there's too much whining, bro.
Yeah.
Wash my hair.
Yeah.
Be cute and be quiet,
Yeah.
right? So
What I wouldn't give to have hair to wash. Just
sorry.
what if I went to a salon and just asked to
wash?
get
Can I
my
ask for a scalp?
could you
Just a scalp massage?
Golly.
That
Oh
feels
yeah,
scalp
good.
someone will
massage?
give you a good
Little
scalp
phrenology
massage.
up in that
That's
piece,
right.
man?
Yeah.
Okay.
phrenology?
So, Kev, we go back to his apartment. He's got a roommate. Him and his roommate are both sort of struggling actors working through this thing.
Yeah.
His roommate just gets like the best part,
Yeah.
career break.
Yeah.
Right? And he says, Kev, you should come to this party. The director's having this party. All you need is an opportunity to make a meet, et cetera, et cetera. Who knows what's going to come? So Kev's like, yo, man,
Very
thanks
generous.
a lot.
Very
generous
generous
to share
of his
his
friends.
success with Kevin, who is barely able to show enthusiasm for his buddy
Yeah.
who got a job.
So this director, is an actor who plays the director. His name's Jeremiah Burkett. I did the regional premiere of Top Dog Underdog with him at the Hangar Theater in Ithaca, New York.
This
Wow.
this guy
The actor who plays the director.
executive. Yeah.
Yeah, that guy, right? So it was good to see Jeremiah
Awesome.
up on screen doing this thing. He's a great actor.
No kidding.
And oh gosh, this was a heartbreaking moment. I think for us as thespians, recognizing just how rare opportunities are and how being able to have an air of gratitude and appreciation, like a win for somebody else does not take something away from you, was not a philosophy that Kevin was
subscribed
familiar
to.
with.
No.
That's right.
Because he gets an opportunity to talk to the director. He's like, the way the character is described is sort of this all-American guy, sort of handsome, good-looking or whatever. And so my roommate...
What made you go with...
Yeah. It's a little bit different. I was just wondering if you wanted to hear somebody sort of read it that had more of the way the character was written.
Yeah.
And he looks at him like, yo...
Yeah.
Wow.
Like, I thought I had you pegged.
Dirtbag.
You know what I'm saying? Like, Pretty Boy sort of peaked in high school, had everything going for him, but never did I think that you would roll up in here and try to take your dude's part.
Yeah.
You will never work for me in any capacity, in any arena, and walked off.
Yeah.
And listen, we wind up finding later on, because they have a conversation, Kevin and Kate, that's where it ends, because they go to
Randall's. They get to Randall's.
They go to Randall's, and we'll rewind from
Find
Randall.
out why they're there.
But they talk about, like, I'm, dating married men, and I haven't had an audition in a year.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, they finally reveal to each other
honest,
the real truth.
It's not going well.
As they have a little bit of wine or whatnot. And there is, I've seen this in friends who've gone through this journey or whatnot. When that desperation sets in, right? Because so much of the auditioning process, this is sort of like a little bit of a tangential thing, is walking into the room with confidence.
Yes.
And when you haven't been
90%.
validated for over a year and haven't had an opportunity for over a year,
hard to walk in with that confidence.
Eroded, right? And it becomes a self-fulfilling sort of thing that like, oh, I'm not going to get anything because what I'm projecting is just desperation.
Yeah.
So I just had to say that. As an actor, like I was like, oh, it hurt me deeply because then he goes back to his roommate's, his place, and the roommate said like, find another roommate, dude. Like you effing suck.
Yeah, before the party, he forgave his rent. He's like, don't even worry about it.
Totally.
Yeah.
Okay. So those are what's happening. We find them at Randall's house because we're on the day of Tess's birth.
Yes. We don't know that quite yet.
We don't know that yet,
but Beth is due very imminently.
Got a belly, and it says like the induction date I think is tomorrow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because Rebecca is coming in tonight so that she can be present for the inducing, right? Randall's putting up this ceiling fan, and he's having a tough time with it. It's just not going the way that he wants it to. There's a little bit of frustration setting in. You can see Beth is sort of walking on eggshells around him, like, you okay, baby? Like, everything's fine. We're going to be good. And she's the one who's scheduled to deliver tomorrow.
Right. Mm-hmm. Because we've learned that we were just 2 months out from his kind of fabled breakdown where he went blind, period.
We hear that in episode 102 when she's talking to William and she's describing what his vice is. It's like he's perfect, but like perfect is not a good thing in the way that she's describing it. His desire to be everything to everyone at the same time will turn in on itself, right? Like he did when he couldn't see. And so you see her talking on the phone to Rebecca, and you can kind of hear like, how's he doing? I love when somebody's talking on the phone and you feel like you can hear the other side of the conversation.
Very good.
You know, it was a great sort of thing. It's like, well, I'm looking forward to seeing you, could use you, da-da-da-da-da.
It's an interesting conversation or an interesting glimpse at perfectionism as mental illness.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Like if it grabs hold in a true perfectionist fashion, it becomes dysfunctional immediately. Because the striving for perfect is impossible. And the striving for the impossible will drive anyone out of their mind.
Absolutely. Yeah. So they're speaking gently with each other or whatnot, and then Rebecca comes. They're happy to see her. Babe, why don't you take your mom's bags upstairs? How's he doing? You know, is he okay, etc. And they're talking softly, and he says, like, you guys are really bad at bad whispers, you know? And there's this sort of recognition of like, I'm the problem, and I shouldn't be the problem. My wife's about to have a child, and they're all worried about me.
But you still can't get out of the way of yourself.
You know what I'm saying? And so he says, like, you know, I tell you, I'm going to go to fix this lamp or get
the hardware store, get another fan because it's not working.
When I come back, let's just be normal. Let's be regular. You know?
Right. This is Randall's childhood wound that he is metaphorically screaming throughout the story, which is I am the problem. I can fix this. What would it be? I am perfect.
Yeah. And if I'm not perfect, what value do I have?
Yeah.
There it is.
Well said. Well said. That's the crux of it. Yeah. So he, even as he's going out, and she's like, it's kind of dark outside. He's like, I can drive to the hardware. Okay. You know, everything is, everybody's walking around. And so he gets to there and he sees this dude who's working in the hardware store, Garuda, sick cat who is very cool. And he starts talking to Garuda about like how 2 months ago he had this nervous breakdown. Yeah. He saw his daughter in the womb. And at 6 months, do you know that babies start to have dreams? You know, up until that point, you could say that they're just a collection of nerves and muscles, et cetera. But like now they have dreams, and that's like a person. That's a real thing. That's a world in and into itself. And I'm responsible for this world, and I don't know how I feel about that. Like, I don't know if I'm capable of being responsible for this world. So like, what am I supposed to do? And Gruder's like, why are you asking? Well, why are you asking me, big dog? And he points at his name tag and it says, ask me for help. And then he said,
if it's not too racist.
Not to be racist, but, determined also, there's something about this Eastern philosophy and whatnot. And this got a lot of attention on our socials at the time. I think because we don't see Six that often.
Yeah.
In terms of representation in media or whatnot. And the guy was so cool because he was like, Eastern philosophy. Like, I'm from East
Trenton.
East Trenton, you know what I'm saying? But he winds up giving this nugget. Like, look, I got 5 kids. And I used to have all these questions and be concerned about the answers or whatnot. And what they don't tell you, and I believe this is true.
I was like,
really?
Yeah. I'd forgotten about this scene. And they're
Kids,
like, this is it.
They come with the answers to them. You know what I'm saying? You'll look at them, they'll look at you, and you'll just sort of like get it, right? And I just like taking a pause there for a second because like I feel this is a unique dad thing possibly because I think moms are sort of like begun that process once they get the baby inside of them. You can tell me now, like it's like, okay, I'm now a mom. Whether it's inside of me or outside of me, I'm sort of like beginning that process. For dads, it really doesn't become real until like they sort of pop out.
Of course.
You have the 6-month recognition as Randall of that, right? But there is something so beautiful, and you can talk about Lou if you want to, or you talk about Gus or Oz, but like you get that baby, man. It's flipping magical.
Yeah.
It's the most delightfully magical thing in the world. And I'll talk about this a little bit because in our episode, she winds up going into labor. Beth goes into labor early. And
Rebecca calls Randall while he's at the hardware store after this beautiful moment with Garuda.
Beautiful moment with Garuda. And Randall takes off. He's like, it's happening, Garuda. It's happening right now.
I've never seen Sterling run so fast.
I was just about to say, I was like, Sterling.
Like, almost too fast for the camera.
Yeah, I was like, wait, you just like flashed by the camera.
Yeah.
I was like, slow down.
I actually asked him a couple. I was like, do you want me to slow down? Shout out to Regina King.
Yeah.
Regina King directed this episode.
Who directed this episode, right? And so we go home, and Beth is in labor, and I'm scared, baby.
Wait. Let's not there. What answers did your children come with?
Oh yes. Yeah.
Okay. You what?
I don't know.
There must be a mystery that was solved in your brain.
Yeah.
With one, if not all 3, like, or maybe not. Maybe it's me.
I'll say
yes,
something,
please.
and I'll let you follow it up. Like because I'm the dude that I am, I've always wanted children. Like in my sort of evolution of self, children were always a part of it. So it wasn't something that sort of happened because Ryan, all of a sudden wanted. Like it was always sort of in my makeup, right? When I saw Andrew. And I should say, like, I delivered Andrew.
Yeah.
Because the midwives did not make it to the house in time. And that's no shade to me. It's just Fertile Myrtle, Ryan Michelle Bathay, had her first contraction at 11 p.m. and Andrew came into the world at 2:23 a.m. 3 hours and 23 minutes later.
That's crazy.
And they're always telling us, like, Mommy, get some rest. You're in for a big day.
Yeah. First baby. It's probably going to be like 24 hours.
So all of that happened, but like he came into the world and I caught him and I unwrapped his umbilical cord from around his ankle and passed him through his mom's legs and put him on her chest so that they can begin the bonding process or whatnot. And it was just like, this is it. This is what I do now. This is what I do now, and this is a joy to do. And so as the other part was Ryan's most harrowing part of the evening, she had a small tear in her noni, is what they called, the midwife called it. You have a small tear in your noni. And so while Ryan was working up the nerve to get the stitches, because it took her about 45 minutes, she's like, you gonna put what where? How you gonna do that?
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, hold on one second. And she hold my hand, and Ryan would hold on real tight. I was like, you're hurting me. She hold on real tight. And as that was happening, because we weren't at the hospital, I was laying on the bed next to her as Andrew was taking his first nap on my chest.
Oof, yeah. It's everything.
Everything.
Yeah.
Chris, everything. Yeah. Like he told me everything. He's like, I'm here. We're here. Like, I think he chose me as just as much as we chose him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And now we're here to like practice love with each other, you know?
Yeah. More That Was Us after this short break.
Whether I'm tackling the chaos of life as a new parent yet again or juggling a packed schedule on set, it's Peloton that helps keep me balanced. Peloton has everything you need to keep on track with your goals no matter what season of life you're in.
I feel like Peloton can go hard.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or Peloton can go easy.
Absolutely.
Can go nice
man.
and smooth.
I completely agree. Like if there are times in which I need to train for a film, there's these boot camps that kick my butt up and down. If I just want to relax a little bit, there's wonderful meditation, yoga, whatever you need, Peloton has it.
I love that even if you have 10, 15, 20 minutes or something, you can get an incredible workout in. You can get on the bike, on the tread, you could do a floor workout. Like it sort of covers the gambit, and Peloton always keeps you on track.
And it's not just about workouts. With Peloton, you can find exactly what you need to get centered and motivated, whether visiting family, adjusting to a new city, or stepping into a new chapter of your life. It's like having your own wellness partner ready whenever you are.
Dude, I'm so glad you brought that up. Because just like Randall needed those moments of grounding during all those twists and turns, Peloton offers the flexibility to fit into any schedule, any season. Now imagine Randall squeezing in a quick yoga session to manage stress. It's all there on Peloton, ready to adapt to whatever phase you're navigating.
The Pearson schedule was always packed with the big threes activities. So whether you're reminiscing about the pre-kids sports meditation era or you're in a full parent on the go mode, Peloton has the classes and support to keep you moving forward. Take some time for yourself. Again, whether it's 10, 20, 45 minutes, and explore everything you've ever wanted to try. It's all at your fingertips.
Because Peloton isn't just about the workout. It's about being there for you in every season, every era. Check out Peloton and see how it can fit your journey just like it could have fit ours.
Find your push, find your power with Peloton at onepeloton.com. What did you?
Yeah. I mean, I'm learning more and more all the time, but I think what I'm learning about myself is I have a lot of the rigidity that Randall might present, or a lot of the control that I've been trying to let go of in recent years, and Bear especially has helped teach me how to do that.
Yeah.
In the way that, like, I think looking back now, my biggest concern was, how am I going to get this baby to do what I want it to do all the time? like somewhere in my head, like the way I've been living my life, concerned with myself and my partner, and we've brought our lives down to this partnership now has to be opened back up for someone else.
Yeah.
We just figured out how to do this.
Sure.
How are we going to open it up for one other person?
Yeah.
And to realize that two phrases, "it is what it is," and "this too shall pass," are these like banal things that we hear all the time that can that people are just like, I shrugged them off. They seem trite. They seem easy, but they're very profound about arriving in the moment, allowing what is to be instead of struggling against it.
Yes.
But also realizing that this is not going to be forever.
Yeah. Right.
And a baby goes through all these things where you're like, oh man, if it's like this every day for the rest of my life.
Yeah. I'm never going to sleep again.
Yeah.
What?
And somewhere in your brain, you believe that.
Yeah.
And it becomes panic inducing, or it becomes, you have this despair, and then you realize, and then that passes.
Right.
And then that passes.
Yes.
And then that passes.
Yes.
But also these moments of like, oh, baby's sleeping 12 hours.
Right.
That too shall pass. That the wheel of positive and negative, or struggle and peace, is constantly turning.
Yeah.
And to try to grip onto either of them is a fool's errand.
Well said.
That's incredible.
Well said. You got the most.
I know you do.
Come on.
I mean, I guess it's just like they are the ultimate teachers. And I felt the same way as you described, Sterling. It's like, everything makes sense. All the cliches, life is in Technicolor. You're just like, oh, this is what I'm meant to be doing.
Sure.
This is who I am. And like the definition of that keeps morphing and evolving. And now I'm also this person. I'm this kind of mother. I'm this kind of wife. I'm this kind of partner. I think children, in my experience, like they're the ultimate teachers of like how to be present, because you can't be a good parent unless you are present. Yeah. Sure. And you can't help but like, you have to be with them. You have to be all eyes on them. You're quite literally keeping them alive. You're their only survival mechanism for the first couple years.
Absolutely.
So I feel like looking at them and living with them, it's like they're the ultimate reminder of not living on our phones, not living like for anybody. Like you have to sort of be there with them, and you want to be. It's not even a choice that you're making. No. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
And that and coming to that acceptance of like everything is a phase, the good, the bad, the joyful, the exhausting, everything in between. Like the sooner you can come to that like recognition and that conclusion, like the easier it sort of is.
Absolutely.
Like you just
and not resisting.
And to remove the defeat from the word surrender.
Yeah.
Like to find the triumphant nature of surrendering to this process. Yeah. Surrendering to this being, what they need.
It's easier each time.
It is.
Yeah. When you have that working knowledge.
You think you're going to break them.
You think you're going to break them. You think they're going to break you.
Sure.
Emotionally.
Yeah. And they did.
And they did.
And they did.
And they do. And then you repair and rebuild yourself, and you're stronger for the next go round. You're stronger for the next phase. And
sure.
I will say, I can't say that I became a better actor, but I enjoyed acting more.
Yeah.
After.
Yeah.
Did you ever have that experience where I thought, because acting was the most important thing in my life, and these moments and these scenes and these characters.
Perspective.
And then this baby arrives and you're like, oh.
That's what it's about.
Perspective.
But also, I think there are more tools in the toolbox to bring to work, so it makes it more enjoyable in that respect.
Hands down.
And you know that, like, to me, having the privilege of like being on a show like this and having a job that we love so much, it was like it further instilled in me like, oh, if I can be so lucky to be able to make the choices of what really matters, things that are taking me away from the most important thing in my life, which is my family, like they have to check all of these
better
things.
Be this is
gotta be worth it.
Gotta be worth it.
Yeah.
And how lucky
for me to say yes.
To be involved in a project where you can take those tools that you've just been given and use them.
And apply them.
You're not on like
in a meaningful way.
You're not in a sci-fi
not on a green
alien
screen
movie.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like you're in a green screen. Like you can take those tools and take them to work.
And take those life lessons.
From work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Back home.
Okay, wait. Let me go back to the episode.
Sorry.
No, that was awesome.
That diatribe is.
But we go back. Beth's scared. She's like, I'm scared, babe. I'm scared. She's like, hey, we got this. Okay. Now this is the anecdote of this is that before we started shooting, like Dan had heard me talk about the birth story of Andrew before, and was like, we want to sort of recreate that, right? So had Regina talked to Ryan and I about how it all went down. And so the thing about it, in oftentimes at home births, et cetera, if you're not in a tub or whatnot, oftentimes you deliver on all fours.
Yeah.
Okay. So we shot it like that on all fours. And Dan was like, dude, I think we have to reshoot it. He came like a couple weeks later, I think we have to reshoot it.
Yeah.
He goes, why? He goes, it looks like she's taking a dump. It looks like she's dumping this. I was like, but that's real. And he's
that's
like,
real. And that is kind of what it is.
And
you do also
kind of take a dump.
Sometimes. Rye did not. Oh, this is true. But so he goes, he's like,
in case you're listening, Rye, everyone knows
you did not poop while you were in labor.
So he goes, can I just show it to you so you see what I'm talking about? And I looked at it and I was like, okay, I get how representation-wise it does not look
like
the way
child
people
being
think
delivered.
it looks,
yeah.
because of the way we've seen it on film and TV for years.
So this is interesting. So we wound up reshooting it more traditionally.
The fake way, Dan. The false way. The way it does not happen, Dan Fogelman.
So people wouldn't, because the thing is, I think so many people have not seen it that way, and oftentimes in the hospital, you're obviously on your back or whatnot, that he didn't want people to drop out of the scene.
Heaven forbid we challenge our audience. to think differently about the miracle of giving birth.
Chris.
It's so dumb.
It was funny though. We were like, we were so caught up in like
Totally.
the moment and it being real and this is how it would have happened.
I'm doing stuff like lifting up Sue's dress, like, all right, this is my wife. We're going in from the back here.
And I think also because you have these sort of like guidelines where on network television, like you can't really, you have to shoot things from a certain perspective.
Yes,
so it's like, it was hard to, for it to be depicted in a way that would make sense for the audience.
Yes. So we actually had to wind up going back and reshooting it. But so that's just a little side note to that.
And another side note.
Which one?
During this episode, I had hurt my eye. I had to have stitches.
That's right.
I cut my eye, like right under the eyebrow. And it was a freak thing. I had to like go in the middle of the night and get
emergency
plastic surgery to have my eye sewn up.
You were real purple too.
I was really bruised. I had a huge black eye that had to be covered for this whole episode.
Oh my God.
And I was in prosthetics. It was a very tricky situation that Zoe Hay, who we'll be talking to later in this episode, we didn't get into this with her in this conversation, but they had to sort of like camouflage the bruise and the stitches. They covered it up, giving me my Cher makeup, which Milo and I are dressed as Sunny and Cher in this episode.
Yes.
And so they kind of did like a really crazy over the top, like smoky purple eye to sort of match the bruising that was already there. But then it had to be camouflaged for me in prosthetics because we hadn't lived in this timeline before with obviously with all three of the children, but also with Rebecca.
Sure.
We hadn't sort of been aged to this. This was sort of middle ground between the time period in which Jack passes away and the present day where Rebecca's in her 60s. So this sort of lived in like the mid 50s, late 50s. So we had also that to sort of deal with my weird freak accident.
I remember you coming to work and I was like, damn, Mandy Moore, what the hell happened? And then as I watched the episode,
where's Taylor? Where is he?
He was out of town.
He was great.
He had an alibi.
Taylor, we know. You could. But so wait, let's get to this last part because there's a lovely conversation. After Tess is born, everybody's healthy, happy, whole, etc. We see Rebecca dropped something on the floor of the kitchen.
Yeah.
And you're cleaning up the pieces.
Yeah.
And you're in tears and you're saying like, this is like one of the happiest days of my life.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm like, all right, so these are happy tears? It's just like, I don't get a chance to share it with your dad.
Yeah.
Right?
Like the happiest moments will also be the saddest.
The happiest moments will also be the saddest.
Like forever, moving forward.
Yeah.
I think that like realization hadn't dawned on her until...
Let's go back to a little masterful piece of writing / acting. I'll never stop just shouting out the praises of Mandy Moore. This sort of like side conversation about Facebook with Beth earlier. Yeah. I hear it's like a way of like connecting with people and sort of being with community or whatnot. Yeah. And Beth's like, I ain't gonna put no pictures up in there. If you need a picture, she's like, well, maybe it could be something positive. She's like, well, I'll help you set it up. She's like, I like that. That would be really nice. So you're understanding for the first time, really, Rebecca with her children all gone.
She's lonely.
Please don't get me started about how Brown feels when all my children are all gone, without her husband, without any friends that we know about. It's like Rebecca's kind of by herself.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then reiterating that in that conversation with Randall about like, your father's gone. And normally this is something that we ever got to share together. Now I'm doing it by myself. What name have you found for it? Like it'll come to you when you find it and you see him. The thing that he's picking up the dirt with is the part of the fan cover that says Tessana. And I was like, you know what? It's after fan, but it works. The name plays, right? And so there's a lovely moment of going to the hospital and a match cut between the past a young Rebecca meeting Randall and middle-aged Rebecca talking to Tess. And who's got the line? There's a bar that you have, like, thinking your story begins here, but it actually began.
Oh, I wrote down the middle can be the beginning sometimes.
Something like that. Go ahead. Yeah. Do you have it? Yeah.
I never like write it down verbatim, but
which is like the thesis of the show.
It's a thesis. Like, you guys keep talking. I'm gonna find this. I know it's here somewhere.
Well, I will sort of break the illusion of it's challenging to do these scenes on a phone when you're not talking to someone else on the other end
and on
most
this one,
of the time.
To babies.
And when I'm talking to babies, obviously there is a finite amount of time that any parent would want to volunteer their tiny baby to be on a set. Sure. There's I believe there is a 20-minute cutoff. We can only shoot with babies for about 20 minutes. So we're not going to waste that time with them being in a bassinet with a monologue when the camera's on an actor that is not the tiny child. So they're never there. So you're either talking to a doll or you're talking to an empty bassinet. So I just remember in this particular instance, there was a robotic doll that they had to substitute. They sort of moved like that. It was almost like, can we just take the baby out of the bassinet?
Have a rolled up blanket or something?
I'll just take a towel or something. So in these scenes, I am in fact talking to a weird, erratically moving robotic doll.
Bleep,
yeah.
Totally robotic baby.
Yeah.
Wait, so okay, I found it.
Okay.
The line goes, you think that you're at the beginning of your journey, right? But you also began a long time ago. Do you know that? Because I was there, and somebody else was there too. Somebody really good. And we lost a baby, and we thought it was an ending, but it was also a beginning. Life has a middle too, and middles can be the hardest because that's when you can get really lost. But middles can be a beginning sometimes, and if you're lucky, you can have it all. And you are lucky.
Yeah, that's pretty astounding.
I think that is what this show, the message that this show was sent to tell its audience.
Yeah.
This idea of this too shall pass. That the reason that we are here is to learn how to hold both things at the same time.
Yeah.
Grief and loss.
And joy.
Grief and joy.
Yeah.
Loss and gain.
Right.
Because especially as I get older, it becomes more prominent that as people are getting married, that is the day that their father also goes into the hospital. As people are, there just seems to be more of that it becomes more, I become more aware of it.
Oh, yeah.
Because maybe I'm just becoming more aware.
Yeah.
But the art of living and the art of living a good life is learning how to hold both of those things at the same time and experiencing them both equally without kind of experiencing them both fully without degrading either one.
Yeah.
Yeah, because one's present doesn't mean the other can't be present as well.
That's right.
Right?
And in fact, they will be most likely.
Yeah, and you have the last line, which I saved because I wanted you to get that in. I thought my journey had come to an end, but I don't know. Maybe we're both at our next beginning. We go to Facebook, and we see Miguel chime in and say, hey, congratulations on your first grandchild, what have you. And you see just this wonderful, you start to write something, and then you erase it, and then you just say something simple like, how are you? It was very basic, but it was also the fact that you erased.
It was the contemplation.
To
little bit
restate.
A little bit of nerves.
Was like,
ooh, what's happening here? The stakes feel a little different.
A little bit different. And
there's some consideration there.
Again, this was the second 102 echo from Randall's breakdown to Miguel showing up for the first time as grandpa and now seeing the beginnings of how that could have
how
begun.
They came back into each other's life.
That's right.
Yeah, I was like, okay, that's an interesting way to end an episode.
Our writers are really good.
Very, very good.
Yeah.
That's it. Okay, so that was that.
That's 206.
We have a guest.
Yeah.
Right?
Miss Zoe Hay.
Joining us from the makeup department of our show. So we'll be right back after these messages.
More That Was Us after these words from our sponsors. All the holidays, we are always bouncing all over the place. My parents usually come to visit us for Christmas proper, and then usually the day after Christmas, we fly to see Rachel's family on the other side of the country. So there's a lot of moving parts, a lot of luggage, especially with 2 kiddos. A lot of stuff to keep track of.
That's a lot.
Well, the good news is we are in the last few weeks of the holidays. Yes, it is a fun and beautiful time that we've worked so hard for, but my gosh, it is also so stressful. As a mom on the go already, it's tough enough to keep track of everything before holiday planning comes into play. But luckily, there's Life 360 tile trackers to help keep track of everything. It's the easy-to-use tool that lets you keep track of everything from gadgets to people, and it doesn't alert anyone you don't want to of your whereabouts.
Mandy, what do you put your trackers on?
Well, I have gotten this from my husband, who I love dearly, but sometimes is constantly looking for his keys, his phone, his wallet. He's lost some combination of those things, and it's like he only discovers it, obviously, as we're about to walk out of the door.
We should get tile trackers in all of his equipment that he tours with.
Yeah.
Guitar cases.
That is such a good idea.
Seriously,
we should put
guitar
them,
cases, all the stuff.
And all of the instruments that he tracks when he's traveling and checks. Wow.
While tile is convenient enough to fit in everyone's stocking, it's also easy enough to keep everyone and everything secure without having to worry about someone else having access to your location. Create a Life 360 map, add your loved ones into it, and simply ring your tile tracker to ensure that everything and everyone is where it should be. It means less of figuring out where things went or why family members are running late, and more having the peace of mind to enjoy the holidays and maybe, just maybe, have a little eggnog too.
Maybe have a lot of eggnog.
Come on,
you know what I mean? Like too much eggnog? You're like, that's too much nog. Family-proof your family with Life 360's tile trackers. Visit tile.com today and use code TWU. That's tile.com, code TWU.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with our very special guest, Miss Zoe Hay.
Hey!
Makeup artist to the stars. I first met Zoe Hay on a little show called American Crime Story, People vs. O.J. Simpson, where she did my makeup as Christopher Darden and then was delighted to work for another 6 years together on This Is Us and another season of Paradise, which will be premiering in 2025. I love Zoe. Look at how fly she is.
Thank you.
Her hat, the ascot,
most stylish,
the pen,
always.
jamming on the one.
This is why
you
you check out this podcast on YouTube.
Yes.
So you can check out
her style.
Zoe's style.
You're like a real style icon right now, Zoe.
Yeah, all I'll say is the glasses are really good for makeup artists who work in the film business. It hides a multitude of sins at 4 o'clock in the morning.
So can I just jump into, if you love our show and you love the fact that there is this seamless transition between these characters aging up, aging down, that is thanks in large part to Zoe and her team.
Absolutely.
Acknowledged and nominated and all of that over the course of the series. Your work was just so unbelievable. And we all used to joke about signing on to a show like this thinking we were doing just a simple, sweet, emotional family drama.
Yep.
And lo and behold, we're like in season 6 and you're aging 8, 9, 10 characters, 20 years at a time, and, you know, have teams of people doing prosthetics and whatnot. So just to kind of jump right in there, when you signed on to be a part of this show, did you have any idea that you would be working your butt off as much as you ended up doing over the course of 6 seasons?
Absolutely not. I had a friend who recommended me for the pilot, and the word she said to me is, it's just a little family, it's like a period show. Part of it is a period show, just like a family drama.
Light
and I was
powder.
like, oh, that sounds so chill. I'd come off of OJ with 40 principles, and I thought, oh, this will be great. Then I do remember the point where after the pilot was picked up and they were like, we're going to age Mandy into her 60s. And I was like,
well, here's the thing, too, because no pressure for you, because it's either we'll age Mandy or we may have to hire a different actor.
Like if everybody doesn't completely buy it 100%, that was the other option. So, And Zoe,
Terrifying.
you can attest to this. Like we went through several iterations of hair and makeup tests to sort of land on the Goldilocks, like the right look.
Yeah.
And that also sort of modified and changed over the course of maybe the first season or two, just with like the amount of appliances we would put on the face and just how far we would go for myself or for John or whatever. But I remember that very first hair and makeup test with another effects house that, you know, it wasn't the right look for Rebecca or for Miguel, but I just remember us being like, ooh, this is a bridge too far.
Okay. We call that the Mrs. Doubtfire look.
Totally.
Gotcha.
It was that. Well, that's not it, but we'll try again.
So besides, I mean, because you would bring in people, like the thing that I learned a lot about your department and sort of like the egolessness of it all is like, okay, there's certain things that I'm very good at and there's certain things that I need help with. Like talk to us about like Stevie in particular and how instrumental he was in this whole thing. What was your working relationship with him and how did you know he was the person to come on to help with all the prosthetics?
I had actually, in between doing the pilot and when we knew we were going to be aging Rebecca, I had done a commercial and they had wanted to age an actress from her 20s with two actresses playing the part, but bridging all the ages and the transitions in between. And I was shooting in Uruguay and Malaysia, and I knew I needed appliances that were going to stay on and look good. And I could do by myself, like I wasn't going to have an assistant there to help or anything. And I knew I had worked with Stevie before and his appliances. And that was the first time I had used his age appliances. And I was in the hotel room, like gluing them on my leg, like making sure I could do it. And I did this commercial. And then after our first makeup test that was done by somebody else, Dan had approached me and he said, do you happen to have anything in the trailer that we could use? And I said, actually, I do.
Yeah.
Wow.
And those were the pieces we initially used on Mandy for her first test. And that's where it grew. So I never had any doubts that it was going to be Stevie that was going to be doing this.
What was it like to have housekeeping walk in on you with a 60-year-old mouth on your leg?
They were shocked.
They were shocked. They just slowly closed the door.
Like,
we're going to leave you to do what you're doing.
But what I liked about it was it's like a modular system. So you can build and it can kind of Mr. Potato Head it.
I got
you can use these cheeks and those wrinkles and this mouth and it's great.
Yeah.
So you can make some different looks.
You're also like the facial hair wizard of first of all, Jack and everybody else who ever had to do facial hair on the show or whatnot. We talk a little bit because you love it. Like I go into the trailer and just seeing you take little pieces of hair and put it on the piece of net and just sort of comb it and put it together and shape it together. Like you love that shit.
I do. I do. And I'm judging the facial hair right now, by the way. Yeah. I'm checking it all out.
This is
Don't
me.
think I ever miss a beat with you guys.
This is just me right here. So take a look because we may need to duplicate something for season
What's it
2.
like to have a goatee on your knee?
Yes, well, I've certainly glued some on myself to make sure that they look good. I love doing facial hair, and that's something I've always done. It's a little specialty I do. So I was never afraid of jumping in with that with any of you gentlemen on the show. And I know that actually both of you, Sterling, we had to fake your facial hair several times.
Yeah, we did.
On and off.
Yeah.
And of course, at the end of the season there when we went to San Francisco, we shaved you, Sully, and had to rebuild your beard while you were growing it back in.
Yes.
Oh, is that true?
Yeah.
I feel like it would be a fun game, and we've talked about this before, for people to go through the course of the series and try to see if Milo's facial hair, or any of yours, quite frankly, like what's real, what's fudged a little bit, what's totally just like glued on. Yeah. Because Zoe, like your work is so seamless. Thank
you so much.
It's hard to see what's real and what's not.
Agreed.
This is the danger of being as good at your job as you are, is that when you're as good as you are, people don't even notice.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
You're like,
that's
no
my
idea
goal.
that
if
it's
you're
your
looking
work.
at it, I did it wrong.
Yeah.
I did it wrong. If you see it, I screwed up. That's my goal. Is I want the actors to look in the mirror when you're in the trailer, all of you to look in the mirror, and I just want you to see your character when you go out there. And I want you to be totally as comfortable as you can be with a piece of fabric and some hair glued on your face or prosthetics. or whatever. But I want you to be able to go do your job and take it the rest of the way, That's always my goal.
In this particular episode of the 20s, right? We weren't aging forward or anything. We were aging backwards, the big three. It was the day of Tess being born. You have Justin, who's massaging people's hair, shampooing people's hair.
Yeah.
And Chrissy, I want to talk about the haircut.
The bangs.
The bangs.
Yeah, we can talk about the haircut. I was like, that's a choice. But it was like, like this, so much foundation. Talk about like how you make people look younger. Because I don't know if I ever look younger or not, but you just shave them as cleanly as possible.
Yeah. Yes, and put those glasses on. I totally bought it. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. We do, as we affectionately called it, euthanizing.
Euthanizing. I love it.
Affectionately.
Hot take.
That's what we called it. Yeah. And a lot of skin prep, a lot of products, a lot of iPads. Yeah. And I do distinctly remember Milo would arrive on his motorcycle and flip up his visor in the morning to show me he was wearing his iPads on the way home.
Yeah. Really?
His little patches on his eyes. Oh, cute.
Totally. All of that. And then, we did some more extreme de-aging where we did some facelifts and neck lifts.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
We actually use like a surgical tape that they use. It's very thin and clear, and you sort of pull one side up and
are you serious?
Where can we buy that? Where is that available for purchase? Just in case somebody listening.
Amazon.
Okay, Amazon.
We'll put a link in the chat for everyone.
Yeah.
So wait, the youngest anybody, Mandy, you did one shot of like 16.
16, yeah.
Yeah.
16.
Well, did you do any? I remember you had pigtails.
I had braces.
You had braces.
And I believe that was some computer.
Oh.
Wizardry.
No, actually, we didn't use any digital on that.
Really?
I did ask for that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that was just like some crazy lighting and some Vaseline on the camera.
Yeah. Mandy Moore.
And you talked with like a lateral.
Mandy Moore could do it. And then Mandy, like I remember Zoe when you were doing the makeup test for Mandy for season 6 for the end, and like I remember walking and seeing you, and like just started crying.
Yeah.
Like it was so. You guys, there's a special sort of wizardry that you pulled off for 6 seasons. The fact, Mandy's the youngest of all of us, playing the eldest of all of us, and nobody blinked an eye the entire time. A testimony to the thespianic charms of Mandy Moore, but also
it is the whole,
to the crew.
It was the package. I mean, you wouldn't have bought it if it weren't for, like the look had to, like it all had to work together. Sure. You know what I mean?
Some really great sweaters.
Some great, some great knits. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, there was some, certainly it was a real collaboration because it had to work with the makeup, had to work with the hair and also the wardrobe. Yeah. And, Hala was so amazing at like helping us cover you up because we were like, although there was one scene of you in a bathing suit, I remember.
Yes, with Chrissy. And we were like,
oh my God. And I was like, she's only 65 from here up.
Yeah, from the neck up. And it was like,
just you in the water like this.
Totally. Rebecca just likes to float.
Yeah.
Just with her head above water. And then it was raining. Yeah. I mean, it was, and so we couldn't get the wig wet. We were in the pool. Justin was directing that episode. I'll never forget that. That was hilarious.
Props made sure they had a hard candy in every pocket.
Butterscotch.
Yeah. I had visions of your little neck waddle just sort of floating off.
Would you say the most challenging was it at the end of season 6 when you had everybody in the future? How many people did you have in old age that you had to deal with it at any one time the most?
I think it was 12 people, if I'm not mistaken. And the hardest part was we designed that. We didn't know that. We always knew that there would be Chrissy and you and Justin at the bedside. That was always a given. And of course, we knew at a certain point, we knew Miguel would be much older too.
Nobody ever thought Toby would make it that far.
We did not.
Yeah,
we did not think Toby
there's
would be
no
there,
way Toby's making it past season 4.
No.
Fine, he made it past the heart attack, but
it makes some prosthetics for him now. So that was. And when we had all the spouses, and and then
everybody had to get remarried. Great, great,
and some exes joined too.
Oh, great, true, great ex-girlfriends. Good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I would say that was the most challenging. I'm not sure. I know that at least 2 people were wearing like the same wrinkles as Mandy on her, because the beauty of it is it moves so differently on everybody, and the pieces are so small. So we're sort of like, oh, I think Mandy's eye bags will work on them.
Yeah. I mean, they're genetically related, maybe. If Chrissy and Mandy have the same eye bags, that would make sense.
It makes sense.
So that helped us not have to resculpt things.
Yeah.
And by then, Stevie had such a big sort of stock of different things to choose from. So we sort of just, picked bits and pieces and tied it together.
Is there anything outside of age work that you remember in particular, whether it was scarring for anybody going through anything like that sort of sticks out in terms of a fun thing to play with makeup-wise in the course of the show?
Yeah, I mean, we had Mandy in a car crash.
Oh, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lots of
couple of blown out knees.
I believe, yes, and some bloody bits and knees and things like that. And I remember Justin, we did a swollen knee for.
Oh, that's right. That was great.
That was a great knee. Yeah.
Yeah. I actually think Hannah's makeup was my favorite, though, which I only got to do a couple of times. Stevie did that, and that was taken over.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought that was that was such a beautiful makeup. And again, one of those that nobody knew what she had on, and we didn't really go into that during the show. Yeah. And I felt that was really beautifully done.
It was.
And worked as well.
Yeah. No one would question it.
Any other questions? You guys got?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to have you back for a full episode. We're going to thinking about getting you and Michael together to have a full
mom and dad,
a full episode conversation.
Yeah, because there's just too much to get into.
Way too much.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
But this was a nice little tasty morsel to sort of satiate us for now.
And now hopefully you're gonna air lots of beautiful things of you all beautiful and younger, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's true.
Is that the goal for this one?
That's right.
I need that tape now in real life.
There you go.
I'm gonna try to find that on Amazon.
Yeah.
No.
Discount code TWU.
I would say that Mandy was the easiest to take back. And I think I worked with you in your 20s.
Mandy Moore, you look good.
Not anymore. Not anymore. Stop. 3 kids. I'm tired.
I don't want to hear a bit about it.
I think when we worked with, because I said so, you were in your 20s,
I was,
right?
yeah. Zoe and I worked on a movie together.
Which movie?
Because I said so.
Oh.
Yeah, with Diane Keaton. That's where I first met Zoe. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Taking it back.
Yeah.
Mandy Moore is ageless. You could still.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're very kind.
It's
I
true.
agree.
If we were to ever do some sort of reboot of the show, I joke like, well, wouldn't need the prosthetics anymore. just paint in the wrinkles.
Yeah. Stop.
Yeah, just less iPads.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, you're on set. She's on an undisclosed location because she's doing top secret, dope-ass work right now. Thank you, Zoe Hay, for making time.
Thank you, Zoe. We love you.
Thank you so much.
We'll talk to you soon.
It was lovely to see you. All right.
Take
bye-bye.
care. Bye.
I, for one, am excited about this band segment.
Yeah, me too. I think we're going to be talking about Halloween costumes and see if Chris can fit into this one.
Not watching on YouTube, this is your fatal error right now. So
I can't say the line.
Can you even hear anything? Oh, we can't? Here.
You can hear me. You can hear
No,
it.
we can't.
It's fine. You can hear me in the distance. It's fine.
Wait,
now listen. Even though I might not fit in this costume,
a shark is eating Chris Sullivan.
It's a shark attack live on YouTube.
Jabberwocky. Lord have mercy.
All right. Fan segment.
What are we doing in this segment?
We're going to be looking back at some Halloween costumes over the course of the years of the show. Many people dressed up as the Pearsons. So let's take a look. Let's take a look at some of the best representations of the Pearsons.
Make me happy.
Let's go to the screen.
Oh, okay. So.
Oh, wow. Okay.
As Jack and Rebecca.
Oh, he's holding on to his mustache.
He's holding his mustache. It's clearly not his mustache. He's gotta be careful.
Look at Sam.
With that
She's got the Steelers jersey.
She does have the jersey. She's got the part going down the middle.
She's got the Rebecca Pearson hair happening.
I like this one on the right.
Very scary though. Those dolls. Very scary.
Wow, Rebecca Robertson. Wow, handsome Beau. That's a handsome Jack. He didn't commit by cutting his hair, but we'll cut him some slack.
But they did commit by getting robot babies.
Get three babies, and I appreciate a black baby. Thank you very much.
You know that Rachel and I dressed up as Jack and Rebecca.
Can we see photographic proof of this?
I don't know if we can or not.
Really?
Because I definitely didn't submit for this fan
but
segment.
can we put it on like social media?
I'll try and find the photo.
Yeah, when this episode airs, let's try to find a photo.
Yeah, it turned out good.
I did a Jack Pearson thing one Halloween where I wore his military hat.
Yeah.
Oh.
I have a military hat from set, and then I put on like a, army jacket, etc.
Some fatigues?
That was, and some
Cool.
fatigues.
And then got too drunk.
No.
I'm getting eaten by a shark.
Okay, let's see some more pictures.
More.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
wow.
We got
nice stash on the left there.
I love it. And the shirt, that's a perfect representation of although Jack had the beard then, but yeah, it's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
Well, in the middle here, what I appreciate is the head sizes of the dolls.
Which one?
Well, mine.
The one on the left?
The black baby's head seems small.
But the one on the left, the black baby has a full head of like
he has a full head
of like
okay,
nighttime news anchor hair, like full like tonight at 6 p.m. There's something in your drinking water.
Well, the poor guy on Kelsey Fru's picture, his head looks small for his body. I'm concerned.
They're cute little baby dolls, but I have to say,
the beret,
R.A. Becca?
Yeah. That's pretty good.
They nailed season 3, episode 1 costume to a T.
That's right, because you guys were at the fair.
We were at the fair.
Yeah, that's a good
It's sort of the
that's what reigned.
Extenuation of the first date. Yeah.
I will say that's probably the most Milo looking Jack we've seen.
In the middle?
That's true.
No, over there on the right.
On the right?
I think he's got
his face. Yeah,
he's got a real Ventimiglia vibe.
Do we have any other pictures?
Let's see the next.
No one else dressed up as these are all just Jack and Rebecca.
Jack and Rebecca.
Jack and Rebecca's the way to go because the babies contextualize, right? In the first two.
Wow,
and then we have
look,
one.
they've got the big 3 on there too.
That's
Oh,
right.
that's nice. That's
wow. And then someone went with
Don't even mention what that man is. Nope, slow cooker.
It's
Yeah,
a slow
slow
cooker.
cooker.
Oh, by the way, though, I actually have to give props. Our middle picture here by Sean.Harv, she kind of looks like you, Mandy.
I'll buy that.
She kind of looks like you.
Yeah,
absolutely.
The hairstyling in particular.
Yeah.
Also on the left, that's a good one too from that same period.
She's got the beret.
She
nailed that.
No, these are all good. They all have black babies. We have Cabbage Patch dolls. That's a nice little touch in the middle there.
Yeah, a nod to the time period.
Which I appreciate. And then, of course, the slow cooker.
Where did they even get Cabbage Patch dolls?
On the right. They're still around.
I'm
They're
sure.
like vintage.
Yeah.
It's segments like this. I'm getting eaten by a shark. It's segments like this. Oh no! This is why you want to watch on YouTube, because you don't know what you're missing. Did you know that you can watch podcasts too? Oh no! I'm getting eaten by a shark. Go to YouTube. Mash that subscribe button. Tell all your friends.
Mash that subscribe button.
Take your elbow and mash that subscribe button.
That was another episode of That Was Us.
Oh no, get me my shark.
Listen, please feel free to email us at thatwasuspod@gmail.com.
No.
Or if you want to call in, you can hit us at 412-501-3028. Sully has lost his mind. We love you. We'll see you next time.
Bye, everyone.
That was us.
We are back with our retread segment. This retread is brought to you by Peloton. Find your push, find your power with Peloton.
Yeah.
A lot happened in this episode.
A lot happened.
We're talking about the 20s. We see Kevin being a bad person to his roommate, trying to steal his man's his role that he booked. Kate is sleeping with married men. Randall is
We're retreading the podcast episode.
Yes.
Yes.
We talked about those things.
It gets real meta when we start
talking
retreading the episode of television of the Rewatch podcast.
Yeah. So I think what we learned in this particular episode of the podcast, because Randall's on the precipice of fatherhood, we all talked about what becoming parents meant to us.
Sure. We learned a lot about what our kids taught us.
Yeah, yes. what they taught us.
We learned a lot from Sterling's experience in life.
I did deliver my first child by myself because the midwives didn't get there in time, but it's,
And sometimes it happens on all fours, Dan.
Damn straight.
We actually had to reshoot. We learned on the podcast, we had to reshoot part of this scene of Beth giving birth because it looked like a little too...
Looked like dropping
real,
a deuce.
I guess?
Yeah. I guess
we learned that Zoe Hay's leg is a good replacement for our faces when she's practicing age makeup.
There you go.
Yeah, we got to talk to Zoe about aging people forward, aging them backwards over the course of 6 seasons, and it was so wonderful to catch up with her.
By a shark!
And Sully got eaten by a shark.
Brought to you by Peloton.
That Was Us is filmed at Rabbit Grin Studios and produced by Rabbit Grin Productions. Music by Taylor Goldsmith and Griffin Goldsmith.
Da-da-da-dum, da-da-dum, that was us.